kid you not. The moment I walked in there, I saw his face. I saw how old he was. I saw time. I said, something said, be quiet. I was quiet. I let this man talk for 2 hours. 2 hours he needed to get out everything that he needed to get out.
This rumor just won't stay buried. It's been haunting the industry for years, and now it's crawling back into every conversation. People can't stop gossiping about it. The wild claim that Jay-Z could secretly be Kelly Rowland's son's real father is making rounds again. In full swing again. Now let's get one thing straight. Kelly never said anything crazy herself, but she finally broke her silence recently. And what she said, or even worse, what she didn't, had everyone's eyebrows hitting the ceiling. There's just something about this rumor that refuses to disappear. If this were total nonsense, wouldn't it have vanished by now? Instead, every time Jay-Z and Kelly are seen together, or whenever Little Titan's name pops up, boom, the comparisons explode again. Fans start digging up old pictures, replaying interviews, and analyzing every tiny facial twitch like it's a secret code. Like detectives holding magnifying glasses. And here's where it gets extra spicy. People have been claiming for years that Kelly's son Titan shares some uncanny traits with Jay-Z. The nose, the smile, even the swagger. Some fans are flat out saying he looks more like Jay than Jay's own kids. Now sure, people can spot a small resemblance and turn it into a full-blown conspiracy, but this one's grown a life of its own. And now that Kelly finally spoke up, fans are convinced there's way more to this story than what's ever been said out loud.
Enriching me. You know what I mean? Like through different things, through marriage, through having my son 1 week and losing my mom the next week. So it's just like, it's so many different things that have shaped me, and I'm just going through it, and I can't just keep that kind of stuff to myself. I feel like it's worth sharing, and I want to share it, and I want to be honest.
Let's rewind for a moment, because to truly get how this wild rumor exploded, you have to understand just how close Kelly Rowland and the Knowles family really were. This wasn't some random industry bond, it ran way deeper than that. Kelly was born in Atlanta, but when she was still a child, her mother packed up and moved her to Houston. And that's where everything changed. That's where Kelly met Beyoncé. And from that moment on, they were inseparable, bonded instantly like real sisters. Kelly even moved in with Beyoncé's family. Yes, she actually lived with the Knowles. Tina Knowles, Beyoncé's mom, didn't just open her doors, she opened her heart. She treated Kelly like her own daughter. And that wasn't some PR act for the cameras, it was genuine. Tina even mentioned in interviews that she raised Kelly like one of her own children. And that kind of bond? That's family level tight. When you're around that much, you stop being just a friend, you become inner circle. From day one, Kelly was right in the thick of it, rehearsals, studio sessions, family dinners, all of it. She wasn't just watching Beyoncé rise to the top, she was climbing right beside her. Kelly started singing at a super young age, and by the time she joined that early Destiny's Child lineup back when they were still called Girls' Time, she was already born for the spotlight. Kelly was out there performing on big stages like Star Search. They didn't win that one actually. They got dropped and had to rebuild from scratch. But once Matthew Knowles, Beyoncé's dad, stepped in to manage the group, everything flipped overnight. They got signed, dropped their first singles, and then boom, no hit the charts, and suddenly Destiny's Child was unstoppable. They were everywhere. Billboard charts, red carpets, award shows, even commercials. Cody, they ruled the late 90s and early 2000s like absolute legends. But let's be honest, Beyoncé was always the one bathing in the spotlight. The media hyped her non-stop, the label pushed her hardest, and fans picked up on that energy quick. Now, Kelly wasn't invisible, but everyone could see she was being boxed in as the second lead, and that tag stuck with her. Years later, she even confessed it in her song Dirty Laundry, admitting she felt jealous, like she was trapped in Beyoncé's shadow while her best friend soaked up all the light. That's deep, especially when you've grown up like sisters. When someone feels pushed aside like that, it doesn't just mess with emotions, it can rattle relationships too. And that's exactly what loops us right back to the Jay-Z rumor. When you realize how deep Kelly's connection with the Knowles family really runs, it makes you pause for a second. She wasn't just a co-worker, she lived with them. She was family. So when Jay-Z entered the picture and things between him and Beyoncé got serious, Kelly and Jay weren't just industry associates anymore. They were constantly around each other. They weren't just friends, they were family. Holidays, birthdays, private events, you name it, they were in the same rooms year after year. And that's exactly why this rumor refuses to die. It doesn't feel random at all. When people stay that close for that long, it doesn't take much for folks to start side-eyeing and asking questions. Now here's where things start getting a little messy. Jay-Z showed up at the premiere of The Harder They Fall, a massive night, red carpet gleaming, cameras flashing, all eyes locked on him. At first, he strolls in cool as ever, acting like he doesn't even notice Kelly standing there. But the second he spots her, his entire vibe shifts, his face lights up instantly. Full-on grin, sudden burst of energy, arms wide open, a complete 180. Now, is that instantly shady? Not really, but it definitely looked off, especially for Jay-Z, who usually keeps it cool and composed in public. Fans caught it instantly and started buzzing online like, hold up, what was that? Because this wasn't some isolated moment either. Over the years, Jay-Z and Kelly have always seemed unusually comfortable around each other at events. Maybe a bit too comfortable for some people's taste. There's never been anything outright inappropriate between them, but there's always this warmth that stands out, and once you notice it, you can't unsee it. That effortless chemistry, the body language, the way they light up when they cross paths. It's hard to ignore. So when people online started bringing it up, it wasn't just about one red carpet moment, it was a pattern. And that's when the whispers got louder, and people started daring to say the unthinkable. Yep, that maybe, just maybe, Kelly's son Titan isn't only her husband's child. Now, let's be real, Titan is adorable. He's got Kelly's glow, that radiant smile, and a ton of charm. But fans swear they spot Jay-Z in his features, especially the nose and that unmistakable grin. People have literally been zooming in, making side-by-side comparisons of Titan with Blue Ivy, and even with Jay-Z himself. Some fans are convinced Titan looks more like Jay-Z than Jay-Z's own kids, and that's wild. But once that theory hit the internet, it spread like wildfire and refused to fade. Every new photo, every sighting just keeps the rumor alive and hotter than ever.
I'm having a moment this morning because my son just walks up to me. And why is he this tall? Why? What just happened over summer? How did this even happen?
One major reason fans keep circling back to this wild theory is Kelly's husband, Tim Weatherspoon. He's extremely private, hardly ever gives interviews, rarely appears in public, and there aren't many clear photos of him with Titan. So people online claim they can't really see a resemblance between father and son. And that's exactly where the speculation starts heating up again. And then there's Jay-Z, who's been around for Kelly during some deeply emotional times, like when she lost her mom, or finally reunited with her dad after years apart. Jay-Z wasn't loud about it, no flashy posts or public stunts, just quiet, steady support behind the scenes. And of course, people noticed that kind of closeness and started connecting dots that maybe didn't even exist. But let's be real for a second. Kids sometimes just happen to look like other people. It's totally normal. It doesn't automatically mean there's some secret affair or scandal brewing. Sometimes genetics just throw a wild curveball. Still, this rumor didn't come out of thin air. Jay-Z's faced claims like this before. Enter Rymir Satterthwaite, a man from New Jersey who's been insisting for over a decade that Jay-Z is his biological father. And get this, he's not doing it for clout, at least not from how it seems. He's been chasing answers and justice for years. And that's where things get really interesting. This man's been fighting for years to get a DNA test to prove his claim. But here's where things start looking seriously shady. Jay-Z's legal team has been grinding non-stop to block it, like actually building walls at every turn. This isn't just a ignore it and move on kind of deal. Nope, His crew's been using every legal loophole imaginable to shut it down from all angles. At one point, Jay-Z's lawyers even argued that the New Jersey court didn't have the authority to force him into a paternity test. Instead of facing it head-on and clearing the air once and for all, Jay-Z's team kept dragging their feet, filing motions, stalling, and finding ways to delay things for over a decade. 10 years of back and forth, and still no closure. Meanwhile, Rymir never backed down. His godmother, Dr. Lily Coley, stepped in and stood by him through it all, helping him keep the case alive. They even filed new lawsuits claiming the system was rigged in Jay-Z's favor, that the judges were biased, paperwork was being shuffled behind closed doors, and that Jay-Z was allegedly using his fame and money to keep it all buried. Now, whether Rymir is truly Jay-Z's son, nobody knows for sure. But the way this whole situation's been dragged out for years definitely leaves people questioning what the truth really is. What's absolutely clear is that Jay-Z still hasn't taken that DNA test. And that's exactly why this whole thing matters. When you look at Kelly's situation, it starts to paint a pattern. Jay-Z dodging a paternity test isn't some random one-off. It's something people have seen before. So when fans look at Titan, hear all these whispers, and remember how Jay-Z handled the Rymir case, the whole thing suddenly doesn't sound so far-fetched anymore. It actually starts to feel a little too possible. Now circling back to Kelly years ago, she dropped that emotional bombshell Dirty Laundry, and it had everybody talking. On the surface, it sounded like a personal story about an abusive relationship, and it was. Kelly opened up about being trapped in something toxic, how she was hurt physically and emotionally, how she completely lost herself and felt suffocated by her own silence. But what really stunned people were the hidden layers in her lyrics. The biggest shock came when Kelly admitted she felt jealous of Beyoncé's success, not out of hate, but because she was drowning in her own pain. She said she wanted to be happy for her best friend, but instead she was sinking in sadness. That kind of raw honesty hit fans hard. It shattered the picture-perfect Destiny's Child sisterhood everyone thought was untouchable. It made people realize there was so much more happening behind the scenes than anyone ever imagined. That one powerful line exposed to the world that Kelly had been silently suffering for years. Some fans believe Dirty Laundry wasn't only about an abusive relationship. It might have hinted at a far deeper secret she's been carrying, something she's never dared to say out loud. And here's where things get truly emotional. Kelly revealed that every time she tried recording that song, she broke down crying. It took her days just to get through it in the studio. She'd start singing, stop, cry, then try again. It was a painful loop that clearly came from something far heavier than just music. That's not performance, that's raw trauma. That's what happens when you've been carrying something inside for way too long. So naturally, fans started connecting the dots and asking, what if Dirty Laundry wasn't only about the abuse? What if part of that heartbreak came from something deeper? Maybe a relationship that wasn't supposed to happen, or a secret she could never speak about publicly. Some even believe the song was her silent way of releasing it without naming names or blaming anyone. And that's the theory many still cling to, convinced that the real story behind Dirty Laundry might be far more complicated than anyone ever imagined.
3 decades. I can't believe we're aging ourselves.
You think you?
I know. Well, I grew up with it. So you're doing everything. You have every title. Michelle's doing everything.
Yes.
And now I hear you're going to see Beyoncé on her tour.
I will be out there.
How was it seeing? Did you check out Blue Ivy?
So, what has Kelly actually said about all this? Well, that's the thing. She hasn't confirmed a single detail, but she also hasn't denied it. And that silence in between is exactly what keeps the whole rumor alive and growing. Whenever Kelly talks about her family, she keeps things light and positive, especially when it comes to her husband, Tim Weatherspoon. She always paints him as the perfect partner, putting him on a pedestal. In one interview, she even said, "My son has the best father in the world." Now, if you take that at face explanation, but when something this big keeps circling back year after year, people start to wonder if there's more to it. Especially since Jay-Z and Kelly have such a long, complicated history, way beyond just music. They've shared stages, private moments, and whispers of chemistry that never quite faded. So when Kelly stays silent, Fans don't hear denial, they hear hesitation. And that tiny pause, that refusal to set the record straight, is exactly what keeps this mystery burning brighter every single time her name trends again. And that's exactly what keeps the internet spinning. Because if Kelly really wanted to kill the story, all it would take is one post, one clear statement, and boom, rumor over. But that's never happened. Instead, it's like she lets the whispers float just enough to fade, then they rise again every few years, stronger than before. It's the silence that feeds the speculation, and fans have turned that silence into a whole storyline of its own. Whether it's protection, fear, or just peace, whatever Kelly's reason is, her choice not to speak has made this one of the most haunting celebrity mysteries of our time. Again, maybe not. Because the entertainment world has a way of hiding things in plain sight. Every smile, every family photo, every no comment could be covering a story way darker, way deeper than what we see. And if there was something between Kelly and Jay-Z, even something emotional, it would explain so much. The tension fans swear they've seen, the cryptic lyrics, the tears in Dirty Laundry. Maybe it's all coincidence, or maybe it's one of those Hollywood secrets that everyone knows, but no one ever says out loud. Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that in Hollywood, nothing stays buried forever. The truth always finds a way to slip out. One whisper, one lyric, one look at a time. Stay tuned, this story might just be getting started.